IPMNation.com.
This is how we do it.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Ambrose Kirkland Show. And I'm your host, Ambrose Kirkland. Tonight we're going to be doing a very special episode on autism. And I am talking to Pat Sommers. How you doing, Mr. Sommers?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
And Mr. Sommers, should I call you Mr. Sommers or Pat?
You can call me Pat. The whole world calls me Pat.
Okay. Pat, you have an autistic son, am I correct?
Yes, I do, Kellen. Yeah.
Okay. How old is your son right now?
Kellen turned 18 in May. Big boy.
All right. Okay. Now, when did you first notice that was something wrong with Kellen?
I would say that there wasn't anything noticeable about Kellen right up until he was about 3 years old. One of the things that happens with all parents is your child stops talking. You know, he stops communicating with you the way he usually would about wanting something to eat, or, you know, all the little things that children say, mommy, daddy, all that stuff. It just kind of stopped.
So
that's how we knew.
Was talking the only problem? Did he have any problem as far as walking?
No, we didn't notice anything. I mean, he used to run around like a little crazy person, you know. Mm-hmm. We did notice later on that when the autism was setting in, he would start walking on his tippy toes, which is an indication of autism also.
Oh, okay, so what form of autism does he have?
Kellen is severely autistic. He is. They at first they said he was. What was it? He was. They didn't know if he was mildly autistic in the beginning, and then as time went by, we realized he was moderate to severely autistic.
So, when you mean moderate to severe, has he had any bouts of rage or any? Would he have, done any harm to himself or anyone else?
No. That was. You know, I have known people. One of my lawyers, who's a music lawyer. You know, his son actually has to wear a motorcycle helmet around the house because he hits his head. Kellen was never like that. He never jumped out and got crazy or hurt himself, or he would never think about hurting others. He just has tantrums. Is what happens. He gets upset and jumps up and down. For an 18-year-old boy, you know, that could shake the house every once in a while.
Oh, okay. So you mean there can be children with severe forms of autism that don't actually physically hurt themselves or anyone else? Because when I had interviewed a couple of more parents, they had children who had severe cases that actually physically would hurt their other offsprings or their parents. So this is something. This is something new I'm learning.
Now, there is some. You know, when you look at something like that, I can almost understand in a way, because these children are trying to be understood. You know, when you think about it, how frustrating would that be if you could never get through to somebody. So I think that's where that comes from, because I can tell you that one thing I know for sure, beyond the shadow of a doubt, is those kids are alive and well inside. They know everything that's going on, and it's hard for them to express themselves. And I think a lot of that has to do with expression. Please understand me, help me, help me help you type 2.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's basically their way of reaching out.
I believe so. I honestly do. All the children that I work with, they have their frustrated moments, and I think that's one of them. I wish there was somebody out there who could actually say, well, this is the reason why, but we're still in this place where we don't know, what's causing it. We don't know we don't know how to stop it. So I think it's their way of trying to communicate with us in another fashion, even though it's not an acceptable fashion. I think it's one of the ways.
So do you think that there are some children with autism that maybe have been misdiagnosed with ADHD?
I've seen it. I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen. But one of the things that I've also noticed too is, you know, we've started saying that, you know, ADHD and those things are a mild form of autism. That's what they're starting to say now. But I don't actually believe so. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, because I know when I used to work at a foster home and most of the with teenage boys, and none of them that I worked with, they all had ADHD, but none of them showed any signs of autism. So I was just wondering about that.
Right. Yeah. It's a tough call. I mean, I know that I can tell you that my son is OCD, and he suffers from something called well, the OCD is Kellen's biggest thing is my son is asking questions over and over and over and over and over and over. I mean, he can ask the same question one day 100 times. You know, so that's the OCD that he has.
Oh, okay.
You know, I noticed that in him. He has bad OCD. You know.
And since you're on the subject of that, what are some of the symptoms of autism?
I'll tell you what, autism is, you know, some of the symptoms of autism are the things that I look for the most. It's funny you should mention that because I actually put a video on of my son when he was 6 months old, and I think I noticed it. I think I noticed the autism in him at that particular age.
Oh, really?
If you look, yeah, it was kind of strange to be watching this video of my son, you know, staring at a ceiling fan when he was, I don't know, 6 months old, and he was happy and crying at the same time, you know, and I thought, well, that's kind of strange. At the time you look at it, when they're infants, you think everything they do is cute, you know, but something like that, I noticed, you know, wow, he's upset about that. Autism, you know, autistic people love to have things the way they want them. You know, their movies are in alphabetical order. They get very upset if you move one of those books, or if you move a DVD, or if you move a toy in their room that's put there for a specific reason. Unbeknownst to yourself, you don't know why that's there, but they do. And they can get very, very upset about that. They like things to be in order. The other thing, too, is some children, like I said about walking on the tippy toes thing, or even children who hit themselves, sometimes they need, you know, they have a hard time feeling themselves like we do. You know, we could feel ourselves. If we put something in our hands and we squeeze it, we could feel what we're squeezing. Sometimes autistic children can't do that, which is why they walk on their tippy toes so they can feel their own weight. Which there is a form of teaching, which is, you know, putting weights on children so they can feel themselves, which is another reason why I think they hit themselves, to feel, because they can't feel things like we do. In the same token, you know, what I was told Kellen wasn't going to do, as a parent, I worked on with him really, really hard, which is with music, where they said he wouldn't talk. He wouldn't talk correctly. He wouldn't look at you in the eyes. That's another big autistic thing. They don't focus on somebody. They don't look at someone when they're talking. They're very. They don't like being in crowds. They don't particularly play with. They're very introverted people. They don't like to play with other children. They'd rather play with themselves. They don't join in on conversations like we would. So you actually have to go in and learn, you know, their way of living before you can bring them into your own world.
That's something that's very interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting when it comes to that.
Would you by any chance know what causes autism? Or have you talked to anyone, you know, any doctors or anything to find out what maybe cause his?
Yeah, you know, I have, and, you know, it's like anything else. It's like asking, if you ask 10 different strangers the same question, they'll give you 10 different answers back.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you never get that one answer that you're looking for, which I know a lot of parents, you know, a lot of parents who have autistic children, you know, are looking, you know, that they keep thinking that there's a cure. Well, I don't know if there's going to be a cure. I mean, I hope one day that it slows down or the number drops, because it's 1 in every 65 children in the United States born with autism.
Really?
Which is a huge number.
It is.
You know, that's a lot of, when you think of a child being born every 30 seconds, well, you know, 1 in 65 is a big number.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't particularly know, or I don't particularly think anybody really knows what causes autism, but they do know the things that don't. I know there's a lot of people out there with when the children are born, they get their shots, and you know, when they're born, and they want to blame the mercury in the shots and things like that. You know, we've already been told scientifically that is not what that doesn't cause that. You know, and I know that, and as parents, we also want to put the blame on something. You know, this is what did it, right? But I don't think at this point anybody really knows. It'll come soon where we find out, but right now I don't think anybody has a clue.
Well, we need to find out real soon. How does having a son with autism affect your everyday life?
Well, it kind of puts everything on hold. As a working musician, rock and roller,
okay.
When you find something like that out, when you find your child has autism, you kind of go into the pity world. Do you know what I'm saying?
I understand. Trust me. I understand.
The pity world. You want to sit and pity yourself, you know, because the one thing that you love more than anything else has a problem, and as a parent, you want to fix it. Correct?
Correct, but you don't have time to do that, do you?
Yeah. So it's like, how does it affect your life? Well, all of a sudden, you want to find the doctor who says, no, he's not. You know, you go to 10 or 15 different doctors, hoping that one of them goes, no, he's just got a cold.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, and then you don't find that. And then you feel lost. What do I do? Who do I go to? It's almost like your life is thrown into this whirlwind of change. All your hopes, all your dreams, all the things you dreamed about, you know, before they were born and everything, all of a sudden, all of that changes. Then, after you get through the pitying moment, then you decide that there's something you got to do. You know, I'm not gonna sit back and let this affect my life. I'm going to figure this out somehow. And I think most parents do that. They find out any way they can to communicate with their children. We put them in special schools. We got them help with language and all that. So it does put your life on hold, but you get used to it in such a way where it becomes your everyday life. You know, you have to learn to accept what's going on. Once you learn to accept what's happening, that they do have autism, that they will have problems, that there's going to be things that come down the pipe that you don't want to see. Once you accept that, I think life takes another step in a different direction of normalcy for you and your son or your daughter.
Okay, now let's talk about something special that you are doing. I don't know if you did this before your son was born or you did it after. It is called Pat Sommers Rock Shop. Let's talk about that. Was this before?
Yes.
Was this before your son or after?
This was after my son was born.
Okay.
Yeah, this is definitely after my son was born. It's kind of a special story.
Okay, go ahead and tell my listeners.
I'm sorry?
I said, go ahead and tell my listeners. They want to hear.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. I'm glad. I want to tell it.
Okay.
It's kind of a special story because when I had decided to go ahead and do Rock Shop, one of the reasons why I was doing it also was because I needed an outlet. I needed an outlet to work with children to fill a certain void in my life that I wasn't getting at home, which is one of the things that I wanted to do when my son was born, is teach him everything I could that I knew so he would be able to take over for me when it was no longer my time to be a rock star / entertainer anymore. I mean, that we love our children to follow in our footsteps. And I had told him that, as a little infant when he was little, you got big shoes to fill if you're a kid. So we got to start moving. Well, when I found out that he had autism, that it was going to be even hard for him to communicate talking with me. I was teaching at the time because I decided I wasn't going to tour or make records anymore. I was going to retire I thought it was for the rest of my life, but of course that didn't work out. And I built this school for these children to come in who were good players and who needed that extra something, that extra push from somebody who knew better. And watching them succeed and me teaching them things and then learning from what I teach them filled this empty void that I had because my son wasn't going to be able to do that with me.
Oh, okay.
And then at one point I decided, my son started performing with us because I started working with him exclusively, and it just took off from there. So the kids that I have at Rock Shop who are neurotypical, so to speak, and autistic fill this void in my world that makes my life worth living for. It makes me proud of them. It actually helps me with noticing how well Kellen is doing, too. So it all comes full circle. It all makes me feel great to teach these kids because, like I said, it fills a void. It really does. It's awesome.
So let me ask you this question: are all the students at this school, are they all autistic, or some of them are?
No.
Oh, really?
No, they're not. They're
Okay.
not. They're all neurotypical, but we do have the students who are autistic who are waiting their time when they're ready to come in and perform with the other children.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know what? Now I've noticed on your page that you're located in Washington D.C. So you need to come on. I'm located in Tallahassee, Florida. Y'all need to come down here. Y'all need to come down here and do a concert.
You do, man. I mean, that's just the other thing too.
Hint.
Yeah. I got this. No, hint taken. Come on down. Come on up.
No, I told you come on. Y'all come down here and do a concert.
I'll do whatever you want. We'll rock. I can guarantee and promise we'll rock the house no matter where we are.
Okay. Hey, I'm waiting on you. Okay. Now, while we're on the subject of the rock shop, I've noticed that you have a friend. What is his name? Ian Ray. How does he fit into the picture as far as helping the autistic children?
Oh, wow, that's very cool. Ian Ray, who is my guitar player for my band now, came into Rock Shop as a student, and he was a great guitar player, great personality, just a great kid all around. Well, he graduated because, after Rock Shop, after you become a certain age, you graduate and you move on to whatever you want to do. But I decided I was going to keep him around and put him in my band because we got along so well together.
Okay.
He has been exposed now to autism.
Okay.
And knows he knows what to. So that's the beauty of Rock Shop too. Is I don't only talk about rock and roll music. I talk about autism, and I talk about disabled people and how we need to, be kind to them, and how we need to find out, what makes those people click and try and become close to those people because, as neurotypical human beings or normal human beings, we're always afraid of what we don't understand.
Oh yeah.
So I have taught Ian, everything that I know about certain things with rock and roll, and also what autism is and what he should look for. And, because if Ian is in the room and there's parents talking about, well, I think my son might be autistic, or I think my daughter might be autistic, Ian will be able to say, well, what's the symptom? He's that smart where he would be able to do that now because of hearing all of the things from me. So he's loaded in his head with not only rock and roll and being the guitar player in the Pat Sommers band, but he can also help people now who say, well, do you know anything about autism? Because, that's what people want to do. They want to ask around. And he knows.
Oh, that is good. That's real good.
Yeah, man. Biggest heart in the world. If he didn't have a big heart and he wasn't the person he is, then it would have been really difficult for me to ask him to come on board as my guitar player. But there was something about him that was magic, and I wanted it in my project too. And he's also the manager. He's the manager of Rock Shop. He runs Rock Shop now.
Okay.
That's a big step for me to let somebody else run my business.
That is so cool.
He's an amazing young man.
Okay, now let me ask you this question: how does your extended family treat your son? Do they treat him any differently? Your extended family, how do they treat your son?
I'm sorry, say it again.
How does your extended family treat your son?
Oh, they treat him like $1 million.
Oh, okay.
They do.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what. In all fairness, the one thing that Kellen has that I'm very proud of is he has a personality. So does the other little guy that I work with too. He has a personality. They have personalities, and that's the one thing that I always want to tell parents is find your child's personality.
That's some good advice.
Even though they have autism, they could be pounding their head against the wall. Find their personality. If you look hard enough, if you take the time to look, you'll find it. So everybody treats him really well with a lot of respect because they see how hard he works on a song when he performs with Rock Shop. He works really hard on performing. And it's like Ian said on when we were on CBS News last 2 months ago, if you make a mistake in the room, my son's going to be the first person to tell you that you made the mistake.
Oh, I was watching. I watched the videos. He sings good.
He like I said, he worked really hard on it, and he always. That's the one beauty about him. That's the beauty about Kellen is that he wants it to be perfect. So as time goes by, I want him to feel that way about his life. I want this to be perfect. I want to learn so I can get from point A to point B. And he's doing it now.
That's great. That's really great.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's the best feeling in the world.
That's great. Okay, Pat, let me ask you this. Besides the your own rock shop, are there any other organizations that have helped you out since your son was diagnosed with autism?
Yeah, man, there really is. He goes to a private school called the Aurora School, Paxton campus.
Okay.
And when we first came here, when we first moved here, Kellen and I was pretty lost, as most parents would be, of where to put him into school. What do I, now in all fairness, school systems are trying to do the best they can. Honestly, some of them get it, and they have a great program. Some of them are really behind and don't have the best program. So I wanted to find a place that had the best program. Of course, we all do. That school gave Kellen a chance. They took him in under their wing. He started going to summer schools with them, and I started noticing that he was doing really well there. And they became like family. And took him in. They've known him for years already. He's been going for, oh my goodness, like 6-7 years already. They saved my world. They helped me more than anybody else did. And if you can find, Autism Speaks, all those websites, excuse me, are all good. They're all out for the same thing. They're all want to help. But the one place that, like I said, that I know the best and that I adore is that school that is in Leesburg, Virginia, in Northern Virginia.
Okay, and everybody, of course, Pat Sommers has his Pat Sommers Rock Shop, and you could check him out on his Facebook page. Of course, I've already went over there and liked the Facebook page. But Pat, can you tell my listeners where you're located at?
Yeah, I'm located in Northern Virginia, actually, in Vienna, Virginia, Tyson's Corner. If you need information about that, all the information you need about Rock Shop and about programs and about the autistic program that we do, because we do specialize in helping children with autism through music. It's like I always say, I'm not a doctor, but I do have a niche and a special gift to be able to talk with autistic children. I can identify with them even if they can't identify with me. The website is www.patsummersrockshop.com. Like I said, we're in Vienna, Virginia, right outside of Washington, and all are welcome.
And I'll make sure that when I get ready to advertise for the show today, that I put the website link on the page so people could go to it and they could see it. Okay.
You are such a nice person, by the way. I really want to take a second out to say rock and roll to you, because you have a passion that I love, and you shared my passion with all of your listeners. I think you are rock and roll to the bone.
Thank you so much, Pat. And I'd like to thank Kate Fox for introducing me to you.
Kate Fox, my manager, yes.
Yeah, she
you better mention her on the radio.
Oh, don't worry. But you know what? She is awesome, because see, I have a younger sister. She has special needs, and I'm a caregiver. And her name is Reba, and Kate just loves Reba. I mean, it's like whenever I post something about Reba, Kate always, if I'm in the picture, Kate won't acknowledge me, but she will acknowledge Reba. And sometimes I go, but Kate,
right.
I say, Kate, there's someone else in the picture,
You know what? She'll do the same thing with me too.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So I'm not the only one then.
No, you're not. She's been my manager, Kate. One of the reasons why I adore and love Kate is that she has put, when she is passionate about something, it's beyond passionate. She's almost nuts with it, right? And that's what a good old-fashioned manager does.
She has a beautiful soul. She has a beautiful soul.
Yeah, they protect their artists, man. But if
yeah.
I'm in a picture with my son, the first thing I know that's going to come out of her mouth is something about him. Like, I'm not even in the picture.
That's her.
That's Kate.
Okay.
I love Kate. I love you, Kate. I'm thinking of you right now.
Yeah, well, Kate, we love you.
We do.
Okay, Pat Sommers, I really appreciate you doing this for me.
No, anytime. I'll always be there when you need me.
Okay, sir. You have a nice day. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so
you
very
too,
much.
Thank you to everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is how we do it.
Okay, and we're back. We're talking to Adrianne. Welcome, and of course we're back doing a special on autism. Hello, Adrianne. How you doing today?
Hi, Al. I'm well. How are you?
Okay, see, you can tell me and Adrianne are friends because she knows me as Al, which is my nickname.
Oh.
Since most people know me as Ambrose. But anyway, so Adrianne, now you are the parent of an child with autism. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and would this be a son or a daughter?
That's fine.
Okay. Now, when did you notice that there was something wrong with your son?
They started. He was developmentally delayed. He did mostly everything late, and the main thing was that he did not speak until he was about 3 years old. He would just make a lot of sounds and noises. He would point at things, and I knew something was going on with him, but he was too young to be tested for autism at that point. So we had to test it for other things, and they found out he was developmentally delayed, and then he was tested for autism at 6. But we just knew that something wasn't quite connecting with him, and so that's kind of what sparked it when he was very, very young.
Now, you say he was tested for autism at 6? He wasn't tested before then?
No, well, what they told me when I went to get him tested, is that he was too young to formally get tested for autism. And this, of course, I went to this particular organization. They tested him for other things, for ADHD and other things. But they said, and I don't know if it was related to the school system, but they said they can be formally tested at 6 years old. But he met so many of the other criteria. So during that time, they put him in school. They put him in the D3K test class at 3 years old. And he was getting all the tools and all the assistance he needed. He just didn't have a label. So he was getting everything that he needed to get to help him. He just didn't have a label of autism.
Okay, because I've met your son Vance, and until you said something to me the other day or last week when you contacted me and we talked about it, I didn't know that your son was autistic.
Really? Wow.
That's why I'm fixing. Okay. That's why I'm fixing actually this other question. What form of autism does he have?
Well, okay, so it's called autistic spectrum disorder. So there's a whole spectrum, and you go from mild to severe. The mild forms and Vance's mild. His is mostly academic and educational. Socially, you can tell. If you have long conversations with Vance, you can tell that the speech, because he's still in speech therapy in the 8th grade, so you can tell that there's a delay with his speech patterns, and with a little bit of cognitive delay. He does not have any behavioral problems. He doesn't clap his arms, head banging. Nothing is very severe about him. Most of his is kind of the distance. It's mental, and so he creates a distance between himself. He kind of wants to be off to himself. If you'll just sit in advance and observe that, you can kind of tell that something is a little bit different about him. Or if you hold a 10-minute conversation with him, you may be able to tell that there's a little something different. So it's not very obvious, but you can tell.
I guess probably because I was so focused on that one health problem that me and him share that I wasn't even thinking about him being autistic, because I was,
right.
I was so proud of him for what he was doing and how he was, battling the other health crisis. I wasn't thinking about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my eyes, he's a hero. So,
right.
Autism was the furthest thing from my mind.
I think that makes him an even bigger hero, because he's got the autism, and then he's fighting this down like an absolute champ. So, yeah, he's just so awesome.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's a very special young man.
Thank you.
As a parent, how does having a child with autism affect your everyday life?
You know what? It is. It can be very challenging with Vance. Vance has brought so many different elements to my life and my family's life. So when he was young, I think the biggest challenge was understanding that Vance is a little bit different. And I was so nervous because everywhere we went, everyone knew Vance's name. We called him literally 50 times. Grocery store, the park, a soccer game. Vance, come in, Vance, get down, please don't climb. So it was always Vance, 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 because I would always feel he wasn't listening, because most of the time he never did what we asked him to do, but he never looked at us. The eye contact was very lacking. So it was a challenge. It was very busy. It was busy to watch him. He didn't have any fear, so he would climb trees. The branches were real flimsy. He had no sense of fear about him. So it was always, I got to be a little bit careful with this one, a little bit more careful, because he has no fear, and because he's a little bit different. But the eating, his eating habits are different, because he eats more for texture of food versus the taste. So when he was very, very little, all he ate, literally for about a year, was grits and oatmeal. It was just really, really soft things. And then after that, like to this day, he absolutely hates grits and oatmeal. So it was cycles. And then he went into, and all he would eat was pizza. And it wasn't just any pizza. It had to be a certain type of pizza. And then he went into the chicken nuggets. So there are different stages throughout his growing up that we all have to adapt to, that I would have to adapt to, and his finicky eating and just different things. But for me, as a mom, I've loved it because this kid, he brought so much brightness to my life. I'm like, what did I do to deserve a special kid like this, that I can show my love and that he can show his love to us?
Oh yeah, that's special.
It's a gift for me. It's a gift. So I'm like, thank you, God, because everybody can't handle autistic kids. Everybody don't know how to do them, and I feel blessed to have given, that God gave me the opportunity to get one.
And it's kind of odd that you said something about the chicken nuggets, because there's another young lady that's also going to be on the program. She lives here in in Gaston County, and one county over. Her son loves chicken nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
And I know of another child that has autism. He loves my fried chicken. So maybe it's something about autism and chicken, especially if it's cooked in a certain form. You think?
I wouldn't doubt that. Vance's best friend is autistic, and he loves chicken nuggets as well. And they both it's so weird how their eating habits are so similar. But for a while, Vance would only eat chicken nuggets from Burger King.
Really?
I couldn't buy them out of the store, the freezer thing. I couldn't buy them from McDonald's. If they didn't come from Burger King, he would not eat them. And then, I'm telling you, it's certain things. And like pizza, it was just DiGiorno or just the Tombstone. He wouldn't eat the Tostitos, and just anything. It's just very, very specific. But, the chicken is one common thing that I found with most autistic kids I meet. They love that chicken or chicken nuggets or something.
Wow. Something about chicken, huh?
Pretty interesting.
Okay, now, I know that you're not a doctor, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, would you by any chance, through, I'm sure you've researched autism by now, but do you by any chance have stumbled across, do you know what any of the causes of autism might be, or if someone have told you what might be some of the causes of autism?
Most of the things that I've read are that a lot of parents and then actually some medical professionals have linked autism with vaccines. I don't know enough to say that I'm on that side of the fence because I can't justify it. I can't specifically say that that's the cause. That's just what I've read. For me, I don't know really that I find pointless things at any of it. I would like to know because it's so much more common than it was back when we were growing up. Mm-hmm. But I've just heard it's something about those vaccines that they're giving the kids now.
That's terrible. So
it is because they have to have them.
Can you explain to my listeners what are some of the symptoms of autism, just in case some of them have young children that they might want to be looking out for the signs?
Yes. One of the main symptoms is lack of eye contact. Autistic kids tend to look away when you're talking to them. Their eyes wander a lot. And throughout, I guess maybe up until about two years ago, I realized that I had a revelation. A lot of times, especially in school, teachers would go and touch Vance, and everybody thinks that he's not listening because they want him to look at them. Autistic children take in a ton of information, a lot of visual information. They're visual simulators. And so what happens when they look at you, they don't just see your face, they can see a million other things around you and around your head, the trees and the cars passing by and the planes flying up ahead. That's too much. It's visual stimulation overload. So they tend to look down, or they look at, a paper, or they just kind of look down towards the floor to not overload their senses, but they can hear you. They hear you and they're listening to everything you say. So I think one of the main things that I've noticed about all the autistic kids that I've seen and met is the lack of eye contact. I've noticed that they're just socially withdrawn in general. They have a certain social circle or a certain set of friends or certain people that they like. For instance, with Dan, he's very sociable. He'll talk to anyone. He's not an introvert at all. However, when you put him in a room by him, with a bunch of people, I think initially he'll just kind of sit and just kind of take it all in and just kind of be to himself, and then he warms up.
Well, he was very nice to me when I met him.
He's a very sociable person. They're extremely sociable, and that's one thing that's different from him than some of his other autistic friends. He'll sit next to you, strike up a conversation, and I absolutely love it. Even though he's on a different list, different level, age, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's just loves people. He just has a compassion for people and very sensitive. So I think the biggest thing I noticed is eye contact, the lack of eye contact, and the speech delay. A lot of times the speech delay is what I noticed.
Well, like I said, once again, I was still in shock when you told me that when you told me that you had a child that was autistic, and when you said it was him, I was like, I couldn't believe it, because it just I'm serious, because I had even though I've only spent a few times with him when I went back and forth to Gainesville, it just there are just some things you don't know about a person until someone either tells you or you actually spend time with that person.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Now another question I want to ask you that has something to do with your family and your extended family. Does your extended family or family members, do they treat him any differently? Meaning, do they treat him good or do they treat him bad?
They treat him just the same. This is the same as everyone else.
Okay.
Actually, Vance gets a little bit more specialty than but that's one of the good ways. Everyone, because they know that he's a finicky eater, so everyone's always asking, so what will Vance eat? Okay, this is what we're having for dinner. However, will Vance eat this? So it's always, they want to be considerate about his needs.
Okay.
But otherwise, they treat him exactly the same. He blends in so well. He's not very different. He swims. One of the things, going back to the other question you asked me, Al.
What's that?
About kids with autism, they all tend to have some special gift. It's some special area that they're extremely skilled in.
Okay.
That they excel at. Everything else could be just average, but something. It's kind of like Rain Man.
Okay.
He was an autistic savant. Did you see that movie, by the way?
Yeah, but it was so long ago.
Okay. But
I might have to revisit it just for the show.
Oh my gosh, yes, you must. Awesome movie. No, but they treat him just the same. Just the same. Everybody loves Vance because he's so sentimental and he's so loving. So they just love and dote on him. Nothing is ever bad about Vance. Everybody just loves this kid.
That's great. Because like I said, I've been finding out some people they don't have the love and support of extended family members, and that's terrible. It's terrible, especially in this this date and time when when we all need so much love and support.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Do you have any special people in your life or any organizations who have helped you advance out that you would like to give a special thank you or a special shout out to?
You know what? I do have to. I have to credit the teachers at his elementary school at Rosemont, and also there's an organization. It was the Special Evaluation Center. It was something, whoever the people are who evaluated Vance when he was 3 years old. I took a class after he was evaluated, and they determined that he does have special needs. They didn't really know it was autism, but they suspected. I took a class for me to be able to learn how to cope with him or deal with him at home. Because me being a mom, I told you Vance did not speak. At 3 years old, he still wasn't talking.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know how to handle that. He's child number 2, so I already have a kid who's, almost 2 years old.
Uh-huh.
So I was struggling with how to help him. I took a class, and it was the best thing for me. They taught me how to make him talk basically at home because I'm mom and moms tend to want to do everything for the children. I was enabling him. So when he would go to the refrigerator and point to the juice, I would just give him the juice because I knew that's what he wanted. So in the class, they taught me, stop doing that. Don't do that. Take the juice out of the refrigerator and hold it. Go sit on the sofa with it or whatever. And they said, and see what he does. And I did that. And when I did that, Vance followed me. And he followed me and pointed to it, and he made the sound. And I said, oh, and he would point like, you know, whatever. And I said, oh, yeah, I have some juice. I'm going to drink some juice. This is really good. And I never did give him any. I made him talk. And so I kept watching TV. And then it finally said, juice, out of station. And I said, oh,
man.
Juice.
I bet that was a
And
wonderful
so
sound.
It was so awesome. I was so happy. And I grabbed and I said, yeah, you said juice. So it was great. It was great. So they taught me that and how to help him at home and stop enabling him because as a matter of fact, when I did that, I was actually pregnant with child number 3. So it was something that's going to help all of us as a family learn how to deal with him and how to help him grow, being an autistic child. So that was really, really good. The UCF card, Centers for Autism and Related Disabilities, it's called CARD. They're also very, very helpful in Central Florida. I've registered with him, but that was around the time Vance got real sick, his illness, and so I haven't had a chance to follow with them, but they're a great organization.
Okay. That's good. And anybody else as far as family members or anybody else?
Oh, yes. So are you recording this?
Yeah.
Or are you just writing?
I'm recording everything. You actually doing the interview. We've been interviewing for the last 20 minutes.
Okay. So I do have to credit the teachers at Rosebud. They have been phenomenal when he was there, and this is elementary school. They gave me so much inside information as far as resources, the social services, the speech and language therapy assistance, the testing. They were so instrumental in helping me to get the ball rolling and to help me realize that having him tested for autism and giving him that label, which is what so many people are afraid of, I don't want my child to be labeled as autistic, but it gave him the services that he needs to be able to excel at school. And I have to credit them for that because I was reading a lot on my own, but they're the ones who kind of validated it for me. So that was great.
Okay. Well, everybody, I want to thank Adrianne Welcome for coming on the Ambrose Kirkland Show and giving us a little insight into how it is to be a parent of a son, not a child, I'm going to call him a son, with autism. But what my listeners don't know is Adrianne and I share a bond because of the fact that Adrianne is really an extended family member of mine because we share a family member. I'm not going to call his name, but we share a family member. He's an in-law of Adrianne's and a nephew of mine. So that is how me and Adrianne became to know each other. And I go back and forth to Gainesville Hospital here in Florida to have sometimes some treatments done and have little procedures and stuff done. And her son Vance is down there sometimes, so we kind of hook up and see each other, even if it's only for a few minutes. So Adrianne, I appreciate everything that you do when I go down there. And that one time when I needed somebody down there really quick, she hooked me up with one of her cousins. I think that was your cousin or somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate it because it takes a village. It really takes a village. And you tell Vance that I'm Uncle Al or whatever you want to call me. Tell him that I said hey and watch out with that wheelchair. He know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I most certainly will. Thank you so much, Al. It's been an honor to be on your show.
Okay, it's been an honor having you on here. Tell the whole family I said hey, okay?
I will do it. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
This is how we do it.
IPMNation.com